All right. And we're live. We're live. We're live. We're excited to have you. This is your main man, Darren M. Palmer, Chief Book Officer with Self Publish in 30 Days. Excited to be with you today. I am glad to have an all-star panel of those who have actually did it. Yes, yes, it's not just a conference, people. This is book to business. Book to business. We're excited to have you here. I got my people with me. I'm excited. So some of you might be asking before I go around to everyone who's involved here. Before we do that, make sure that you hit that share button. Make sure that you connect. Don't hold it all for yourself. Get the information out to other people. We're going to go in tonight. We're going gangbusters tonight. We got, I think we got a little backdrop. Let's make sure we hit that on mute. Tonight we're going gangbusters tonight. All right. I think we got a little backdrop. Let's make sure we hit that on mute. Everybody on mute. All right. I think we got a little backdrop. Let's make sure we hit that on mute. Everybody on mute. All right. I think we got a little backdrop. Let's make sure we hit that on mute. Everybody on mute. All right. I think we got a little backdrop. Let's make sure we hit that on mute. All right. I don't know why I do that. But anyway, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Excited to be with you today. Hear myself twice as nice, Joshua. Hear myself twice as nice over there, my friend. So I'm glad to have everyone here. Glad to be with you with our all-star panelists. We have those here. Just a few housekeeping rules. If you have any information, this is the time. Make sure that you put it in the comments, put it in the chat. We have people that'll be joining us live, whether it's on the Self-Publishing 30 Days business page, whether we're on Instagram, we're live, we're even on Twitter too as well. For those of you who are sharing, if you see a comment, if you see someone's question hadn't been acknowledged, make sure that you bring it up. We will be sharing stuff in the feed, sharing the comments, but we want to make sure that we get everyone involved tonight. Also keep this in mind. This is an opportunity tonight. Not just an opportunity to be able to hear information. We're not going to bore you with that. We have brought experts who have taken their time out from their businesses, their families, their friends, and the loved ones to be able to pour into you. So how dare you burp and just get away from the table without even leaving a tip? We want you to make sure, we want to make sure that you are involved and engaged and allowing for your next move to be your best move. What is that? If something resonates with you, I want you to grab that opportunity. Even put grab in the chat, grab in the comments and saying, you know what? I'm going to grab that knowledge. I'm going to grab that opportunity. It might be a course. It may be training. It might be a workshop. It may be a mastermind. It might be a book club. It might need to be an event or a phone call or a virtual assistant or somebody you need to reach out to, or all of them, all the above, to be able to connect with these individuals tonight. So tonight, I'm going to allow for each person to introduce themselves, share a little bit about themselves, and we're going to dive further into that. So I know I might get canceled for making this comment, but I'm from the South. If you can hear the Southern drawl like Tim McGraw, and I don't give a damn what they say. I'm going to say ladies first. All right, then. With that being said, we're going to start with my girl, Kimberly Lotz, and then we're going to pass it on to a big sis, Joyce Johnson, and then we're going to move it around the table. So with that being said, Kim, if you don't mind, take yourself off mute, Queen, and introduce and let the people know a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am Kim Lotz. I am a 5-time author. I'm a daycare owner. I am mom of 2. a lovey. Yeah, I basically just do a little bit of everything. I am a mompreneur coach where I help balance, I help balance moms' lives, especially the ones that are entrepreneurs. I help them balance their lives so that they can also enjoy the life that they deserve. So that's kind of in a nutshell of what I do and who I am. I yes.
Also, before Joyce go, I just want to let y'all know too. I don't want to offend nobody, but I'm just letting you know that you're in the right room with that little sweet, cute voice. We talking about $1 million business on. Yeah, mic drop, bag drop. So do not confuse the little, I'm the mom of two boys, because she cash checks. That's what she does. She cash checks. She wouldn't tell you that, but it's a person who about to start. She writes $1 million checks, plural, plural, not singular. So we have the people. Josh did get it confused. Millions. Ruben
No.
does with millions. You see what I'm saying? My man Darren K. Robinson speaking does with millions. We've done millions at Self Publishing 30 Days. So this is not somebody with just a little course who haven't actually been into the marketplace, who's trying their best or whatnot to rent a room to convey that they are an expert. These are people who are doing it in real time, in real environment, post-COVID, and they still alive, for now anyway, but for many years to come. So I want to get that out the way so we can move forward. Let me digress before we progress. Come on, Queen Joyce. Let me hear from you, Queen. Tell the people about yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I am Joyce Johnson. I'm an 8-time author, speaker, sales champion, and coach. I teach people the sales process and importance of understanding sales and sales forecasting in order to meet their business goals.
See how the pitch is just tight. See, when you're dealing with experts, it's just gone with the wind fabulous. Gone with the wind fabulous. Speaking of fabulous, can we get my man Ruben in the building? Ruben, talk to the people.
Talk to them. as a brand guy, it's always hard to know what to say. No, with that being said, according to Darren, I'm a model, but I'm really not. And if he ever says I am, I'm not, and he's a liar. What I am is I'm the founder of the Marketing Hunters. We've been featured in Forbes. I'm also an author of Brand Sharks. I'm the original Brand Shark, something that Darren really helped me come up with and put together. So I really appreciate him for that. And recently I had a TEDx talk in which I really focused on letting people know that in order to really get to where you want to be, you focus on hard skills and not on motivation itself. So that's a little bit about me. We really focus on branding and market positioning, which is a lot of the reason why I mentioned the accolades, because I believe that that's a lot of what people judge you on. So very, very big on branding.
They're trying to take me out, my model friend, but I won't be denied. I won't be denied. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Ruben. Let's go with my man, Joshua. Joshua, say hello to the people. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
My name is Joshua Steinberger. I have been in business now for 15 years in multiple verticals. I own about 2,500 doors in real estate, depending on any given month out of the year. Operate a roofing business that does a little over $25 million a year in annual sales, and coach executives for Ryan Stewman's Apex Executives program.
Yeah, and he left something out too. I want to send out to my sister Megan, his beautiful wife. I want to say hello to her too as well, and the kids or whatnot. But I also got to tell you, we're trying to get him delivered for being a Kansas City Chief fans. He's been brainwashing my children when we're at their house. They don't know no better. Uncle Josh is brainwashing them. We're going to have to bring them back into the fold right now. Okay, we're going to bring them back.
Penalty.
Straight penalty. Tell me what we got.
Unnecessary roughness.
Unnecessary roughness or whatnot. He used to be into a rough crowd. He knocked on doors for years or whatnot. Now he's building $1 million teams. So That's awesome. Awesome. Darren Roberts, why don't you say hello to the people? Thank you, Josh.
Such a pleasure to be here. Good evening, folks. So my wife is from Kansas, so she is a Kansas City fan, unfortunately. So I found a way to put up with her. Look, I am a Harvard Law grad turned NFL coach for 7 years with 4 different teams. Last team was the Browns. Transitioned over into higher ed and gave my first keynote in 2013. And the event organizer handed a Starbucks gift card to me, Darren, and I thought I'd hit it big. And I took it home to my wife, and she said, "You do know people get paid to speak." And so, at those points in my life, I go into a cave for 2 weeks. I came out after researching the industry. A decade later, keynote speaker. I do 40 keynotes a year. I'm in Houston right now, so I know you can see kind of the hotel backdrop. And I also am the co-founder of Monetize Your Message. So we are a company that helps people launch and leverage their speaking businesses. So I'm excited. I'm a 2-time author, a kid's book about empathy, and Call an Audible. And I'm excited for the discussion tonight. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Awesome. And all of you, thank you so much for the warm introductions that you all have given us about yourself. But I want to dive right into it because this isn't, hey, create an outline, write a book, and you took a picture at Barnes & Noble with a caramel macchiato upside down. This is not this type of event right now, okay? So we just want to give clarity of vision right now, which leads to the acceleration to an unknown goal. I want to dive into it because I think all of you alluded to it somewhat, and with your introduction about some of the things that you all have continued to go to another level. You have continued to diversify, or let me put it this way, you have found symbiotic ways of making more of an impact. You didn't leave it just in one spot. And so when I hear you, Kim, I hear what you're doing as a mom boss, but at the same time, you're a daycare owner. At the same time, you're still an amazing mom. I'm listening to Joyce and I'm hearing, okay, yes, I have corporate background. I did these years, knocked it out the park, was up at the top of the ladder. But at the same time, I got Wise Sales Network. I'm a several time author, but also you're doing international events on your own. You got a relay that's coming up. And so you continue to move forward. I'm hearing Ruben. Wow, he's a brand guy / model. Also, hair products with Vidal Sassoon, and and he still got time for a co-authoring book. He left that part out, but we'll talk about that with an asterisk at another time. Then I'm seeing Josh. He's talking about so many, 2,500 doors, depending on the day. He's doing things as executive coaching with Ryan Stewman. Some people are looking at how in the world are these people having the same 24 hours. I'm hearing Darren without holding Hillary down when it comes to making sure she don't start cheering for the Jayhawks. But then at the same time, with the children, the crew that he got, he's in Houston right now with the backdrop. How in the world do you go from Harvard to being an NFL coach? Then you add a position at the University of Texas. You move up from a Starbucks card to now all of a sudden you didn't just do that many engagements as far as speaking. Most people would have quit there. Now you're utilizing Monetize Your Message. You're empowering others. So the first question that I wanted to bring up to you all is, if you don't mind, share with me the mindset that you used to be able to look past where you were to continue to go for more. Because you all had success in your relative areas, but you have added on to the empire. So let's talk about empire building right now. And I'm going to just swing it around a little bit different this time. I'm going to just swing it around. Josh, I'm going to start with you. What has given you that empire building to be able to think outside the box and not just, you could have stayed just a sales guy and with roofing, but you started the business you were making. You could have not did the books, but you did. You could have not been an investor, but you did. So let's talk about the mindset to continue to stair step these, building an empire that you've been doing. What's the mindset behind that?
So the more I get into it, the more I've had conversations with people, it's an intangible thing. I don't know that you have the ability to want more. people that have that drive and that ambition to just continue to push and learn and then not stop, is become like, as we hire more employees and more staff, I'm finding that that's the hardest thing to find in people. I can train them on almost anything, but the one thing that I can't train them on is that they want to continue to do better. And in the last 12 months, it has become like hunting down the chupacabra to find human beings in the United States that don't want to sit on the couch and just get fatter and lazier.
Well said, Josh. A man of few words, but they're powerful when he says it. But I think that go get it mentality. I remember a conversation that I had Josh speaking of this, and we're gonna go deeper into this. But I remember having a conversation with Joyce, and we was at a conference, and it was a little bit of time because it was somebody who can understand my life. I understand hers too as well. But she brought up something when we was talking about dealing with team members and dealing with staff and dealing with people. We had to realize when you're communicating with team members, you can't expect people. Just put it this way. We had to understand that we had to have a grain of salt of expecting, because we are wired. Oh, well, this was put on me. I was able to knock that out and get it completed, or I was able to delegate and elevate the organization. So when somebody else is coming through your organization, you're looking, okay, you're thinking about yourself. You think, okay, well, this is what I did. Not saying you need to do every task. That doesn't mean you're being productive. That's just busy work. But you think, okay, well, what's next? What's the next level? What's the next book? What's the next fitness goal? What should I be doing with my family? What's the next trip? What's the next passport stamp? But some people are perfectly fine with a 30-pack of Coors Light at the end, talking crap about how Josh didn't give him his stipend and his raise, and they're looking for the 2 years, and that's it. So you're trying to manage people like that. And so I think that's important. That's one thing that you can't do. Not saying that it can't be done, but is it in you? I think it's like EA Sports is in the game. So Josh, I'm glad that you posed that question, but I'm going to pass it around to a few more people to get their thoughts on their stir stacking and when it comes to empire building. If you don't mind, Joyce, I want to pull it to you. What is it with you to be able to walk from that particular company and say the next $1 million deal I'm going to sign would be for me and my company? That's one thing to say that, but for you to go out and start doing that and continue to keep going, can you talk to us about your mindset to continue to go to the next level? What is that?
My mindset, Darren, is always, what can I do to inspire and elevate my family? Right. And so that's the thought process I was in when I often say, when I feel challenged selling myself in any organization, any time or place, and it's time to move on to something different. Right. So when you close a multi-year, 10 million, $20 million deal, and then someone's saying, oh, well, this isn't good enough. And you have to think to yourself, it's okay, well, I thought to myself at that time, enough is enough. And the next $10 million deal, $20 million deal, if it's 10 million over 5 years, that's 50 that I close, it'll be for me and my family. And I begin the steps in the process to make that happen, and it's, and it is a mindset. It is self-motivating. It is legacy building, right? There's ways to build legacy. And I think that in my, I often say I'm the firstborn child and the firstborn grandchild in my family on both sides. And so people are watching, right? And so for me, it's like, what can I do to be that role model and show my family that there's other ways? We've done the education at different levels. We've done the jobs at different levels and things like that. So, now let's do some entrepreneurship. Let's build our own foundations to be able to pass on. And so that's what was driving me. That's what was in my belly and in my mind and helped me walk out the door. Awesome.
Now, I want to go a little further into that, because you did that, but you didn't start with one book. You didn't start with 2 books. You didn't start with 3 books. You didn't start with 4 books. You didn't start with 5 books. And they're still going. You didn't stop with just saying, I'm going to do business. You didn't do with just training. You created a wine sales network. You didn't just stop with that. You created events. You didn't just stop do events in the United States of America. You went international. You didn't stop with just international events. You got an international relay. What the hell is wrong with you, Joyce? When is enough is enough. Why don't you sit down somewhere? Let me say it down. Let me say it like the grandmama said down south. Sit down somewhere. I'm sorry, that's not proper English. I'm not the one editing your paper. Okay. All right. We got qualified people.
There has to be building blocks, right? When you're building things, you have to have building blocks, and you have to be consistent, right? And consistency is key. And so building a business, I said, well, with the books, I want to educate young people on sales and other, in business. Then I want to educate women on sales and why sales is great for women. And then I said, business owners that I'm coaching need to really understand sales and sales forecasting, because that's a big part of growing your business. So the books just kept flowing because of that, right? And then, the training program came from the books. It says, okay, I'm telling people, but everyone learns differently. So I'm writing it down in a book, and then let me go put it in an audio book, but then now everyone learns differently. Let me actually put together sales training and have people come to that training and be able for me to teach them the steps to successful selling. And now with the sales training, I have a community college in the area, third largest community college in the country, matter of fact, wants to private label my sales training. We're negotiating our final details of the contract to sell it to the community and educate the community. So it's a beautiful thing, but I created all those things because you have to reach your audiences in different ways and educate and train people. And everyone's going to draw to something different, right? I have colleges that have hired me to speak because of my books for college students. I've had companies hire me to speak because of my books about how to teach people how to build a plan when they get the job, right? And just not show up with their ID and social security card. And then now I have a college that wants my training program because they want to be able to train a community on sales and they understand it. So you have to have a little bit something for your different audiences. As they say, give them what they want, what they think they want, right? And then when you get their attention, give them what they need.
I like that. That's a bag drop moment. And for somebody out there, I wanted to share this too as well. There's somebody out there there's a Joyce out there. And what I mean by that, no matter what's your gender, what I mean by that is there's skills that you have developed where you're working at that are transferable for you and your family and you and your legacy. But you got to think outside the box and take a leap of faith or whatnot and start moving towards what you do. And more is going to be given to you on your way than it is before you start. And so I watch Joyce set things up, whether it was for the Houston Rockets, the stuff she was doing with, NBA players and the NFL and all these other, people that she was connected to, but it was always for other entities, other associations, other organizations. So it's pleasing to me to watch the manifestation of what has transpired in her life by seeing it now being done for her organizations up under her name. She's dealing with the Bureau of Tourism or whatnot in different countries. So it's phenomenal to be able to see that. And, I want to go a little bit deeper. Thank you, Joyce. And I want to go next. I want to look at Ruben when we look at you, Ruben, because looking at your company, seeing the amazing things that you and your wife and your team has been able to accomplish. I don't know, Ruben, being model and all, I didn't know if it was the right move or not, because I knew he was in Phoenix at the time where his organization started, I believe. But they made a bold move during the COVID situation and the whole nine, and they went to El Paso. Like, I don't go to El Paso, and I'm from Texas. You know what I'm saying? Because, I didn't know I was going to get kidnapped. I thought, man, Ruben a little too cute to be over there, man. He might be over there in they might have him over there with a bag over his head. I thought it was the last time I was going to see Ruben. But no, he made it. El Jefe himself, he is in the building. El Jefe, you made it. Not only did you go into the area, but you have thrived. You took some of the business principles and the things that you saw a marketplace similar like to Joyce. You got in there, you built relationships from the ground floor, bro, and y'all are smashing it out there and taking I'll put it this way. You're having a great experience in El Paso by serving the needs. They had a thirst for what you all had provided. So you didn't just stay in LA or stay in Phoenix. You know, even though you did stuff with Atlanta Cardone, other people in the whole nine, you took it to another angle. Whatnot. Can you talk to us about that? The mindset to leave what you knew in Phoenix to transition and create what you're doing over there in El Paso right now.
Yeah, so a big part of it was just being able to spot trends and patterns really fast. And so one of the people, I mean, I study quite a bit of people, right? And not just so much what they say, but the things that they did in order to get where they wanted to be. So I've seen like Grant Cardone and obviously like Gary Vaynerchuk and stuff like that. But the one that really interested me was a guy named Carlos Munoz from Mexico. And so the funny thing about him is that he actually took his brand and his company and left for Argentina. So if you think that El Paso is bad, imagine Argentina. And the reason that he did that is because he found that he was getting so much support in Argentina that he decided to do that. Now, if we look at another example, which is more mainstream, like Drake Bell, right? Like the guy from Drake and Josh, the Nickelodeon show, goes by Drake Campana now, and went to Mexico. There's a video of him where he's getting dragged by security because people in Mexico are like grabbing onto him. And so there's this really big trick that a lot of people won't do, which is basically go where the attention is, right? And so what we did is we found like, okay, there's a lot of attention of us in El Paso. And so what's the downside? The downside is that there's a lot of negative stigmatism. People don't pay there. People can get the work for cheaper through Mexico because we're so close. It's dangerous, even though it's not for safest city in the USA. What is it? People are late. People don't pay. So all these things were the things that we were working against. And as long as you just don't believe them, there's other people in the city that don't believe them either. And so no matter what you do, one, find the pattern, and two, find out if the things that people are saying are true or not. And if they're not true, then you have a really, really good chance of creating unfair advantages for yourself.
You know what? I'm thinking I'm about to cut this off. It ain't no way I'm just give away this for free. You know what? I'm thinking about packaging this up and just chop it up and say it's a mastermind. You know what I'm saying? Just to give it to you. If you can use any of this stuff that any one of the people have shared so far, even with their introductions, your life will be better. If you listen to Josh, you won't just sit there and be fat and lay on the couch, and you'll start learning how to be able to build a business or whatnot and go to the next level. Whatever you have heard here today is a catalyst for you if you're willing to receive it and take that information and not take it personal. Did you see Ruben? If models are willing to go to places that they thought were the murder capital and will find out, but he had to go there first too as well to be able to create that market space. So man, those trends that you brought up, Ruben, for those who didn't understand that, go where the attention is. Go where the attention is. It's a reason. Are you willing to travel where the opportunity is? Are you willing to go there? Josh, if you don't mind, I'm just going to ask you this question, and I'm supposed to go to Kim. Josh, if you don't mind me asking you, where I know y'all just got a new facilities for Next Gen Restoration, but where is Next Gen Restoration located, city and state?
So we're now in Kansas City as our like central headquarters. All my operations are going to be here in just southeastern Kansas City. So we brought all of our core competencies that were in Ohio, brought all those AR, AP, accounting, recruiting, marketing, all of the things that don't require me to go meet and touch and feel an actual client. We brought it all inside in one house, and we'll expand the real estate business from there. Coaching offices will be in there, as well as our mastermind facility.
Okay, but for the people, so they can get a context of what you're saying, how many years was the business somewhere else? And name that state and place where it was before it moves.
Until this last year, it was in Cleveland, Ohio as a primary and or my cell phone. So, I mean, we've been, a lot of the businesses have been operated from my laptop, cell phone, wherever I'm at on that aspect of it. But all of my prime staff are in Cleveland, Ohio, and everybody else is in Kansas City now.
All right. That's it. That's what I wanted to share. It didn't allow for him to keep going. Him and Megan was in Kansas City or whatnot. We even showed up for the house warming. Amen. I was talking noise to them. I said, saying we got to do better. Y'all gonna have to be a Dallas Cowboy fan, but they didn't listen to me. But with that transition, they was willing to bet on the family. And I'm going to bring that up, and I'm going to bring it with Kim too as well. He made priority his family, the business of family, making sure his family was tight, his marriage was right, his children were right. And then the byproduct is that they're having more success when it comes to the business because they are on one accord as a family. What good does it to be able to gain the whole world? And he's knocking it out the park in his business, but his family is tanking. So you have to go catch the book on that with him and Megan. I ain't gonna tell all the details. I'm just glad I got my wife back. They kidnapped my wife for the book. All I knew was wine and them and my wife. I didn't know if it was a swinger party or what was going on, but I found out they were good Christian people. So all I knew is I didn't have my wife, and I was lonely. And I started whining and crying, what I'm saying? But all I knew was Camus and other kind of fine wine. I'm from the country. I'm used to Wild Irish Rose. You know what I'm saying? Y'all go look that up. Go look that up for all those wine connoisseurs out there. Wild Irish Rose. Yeah, for the for the wine connoisseurs. Know what it is. But with that being said, I want to talk about the family component because right now there are people that are looking at the market. They're looking at the trends. They're seeing what's happening with the Fed. They're seeing interest rates rise. And all of a sudden, they're looking at what am I going to do? I've been furloughed the whole nine. What interesting is I want to bring Kim up with that because during the 0809, just to speed people up, you found yourself, Kim, being a mother with your children, thinking to yourself, what am I going to do? What can I be for as this business? And you've been able to leverage it. But I want you to talk about the mindset that it was to be able to say, I'm going to go from my living room floor to create a $1 million business and not stop there, become an author, be a heart note speaker. You're international when it comes to speaking now. Now you're doing events, you're doing coaching, you're creating courses and other things. You even learn TikTok. You even learn TikTok. Y'all on TikTok. So can you talk about that? Because you and everyone who here right now, it's not like you have to do that, actually. It's not like you're doing a TikTok because you're not going to eat tomorrow if you don't do a TikTok and you waiting on, to be able to get revenue from doing TikTok videos. So can you speak to that of your willingness to keep going? Because most people would have quit. They got $1 million business or whatnot when it comes to daycare and all of that. Most people wouldn't have even thought about doing anything different. So can you speak to that, continuing to build an empire? Can you talk to that, Kim?
Well, I mean, for me, look, yes, I have a daycare, but I still, it's like a drug. Once you start, it's hard to stop. For me, I'm as Joyce said, I'm all about family. I want to make sure my family is good. Whatever it takes to make sure that, my family is set up the way that they need to be set up, my kids, my mom, my sisters, whomever. But, of course, I could have just stopped at the daycare. But at the end of the day, I knew that just wasn't where I needed to stop. I had to continue on with, first and foremost, my purpose. My purpose is always to help others, to be a servant to others. And I don't even think God would have allowed me to stop right at my daycare, because it was so much for me to do and so much more work to be done. But, just to kind of piggyback off of even you saying that, Darren, I think a lot is too me just being that example that I need to be, especially for a lot of single moms. I think, it was just beating the odds, not having to face the statistic that a lot of people already have for single moms. Basically, this is where we are. Oh, we just gonna, basically be living off of welfare, or we're gonna do this or do that. It's like, not only did I have something to prove when it came to my family, but I had something to prove within myself. Many might not even know. Even for myself, I did not even accept the whole single mom title until my child turned 20 years old. That's when I kind of looked at myself and I was like, oh wow, I am a single mom. And when you say, where I could have stopped, it's just, it's things like that that made me, that motivated me even more to want to keep going. Because first and foremost, I have so many people that's watching me, rather if it's in my daycare business or whomever or what I'm doing. But I felt like, even with that God just wasn't finished with me at that point. I needed to continue on and to show others that, even though I am a single mother, I didn't have to just put myself in that box to just say, well, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to stop here, or I'm not going to even start anywhere. So I just felt like that this has given me the opportunity, not just being a daycare owner, but just, being able to speak to others just to let them know that regardless of your status or whom you are, like, life don't have to stop anywhere from anybody. And so I don't care what the business might look like, but if you the I'm blessed and I'm grateful that my daycare allowed me to be able to do other things. So yeah, I trust and believe I'm going to jump on every opportunity that I can, because hey, it's money to be made and I'm going to make it.
Come on now. And one thing, Kim, that I like that your family does, and I mean, to me, this is really an asset, and I want to bring this element to it, is that you all have done an amazing job of I'm seeing generational wealth and mindset take place in your family. So, say for instance, whether it's Kim's sisters, they're entrepreneurial, they're doing what they need to do. They have no problem partnering with each other in doing things. So, if one is doing loans, another one is into being a broker. They do investments. Matter of fact, if I'm not badly mistaken, I think your oldest son, I think he got a rental property. He had bought his house and he got a rental property. Is he on two now or is he on one right now?
Number two.
He's on, and how old is he?
He's only 23.
That's what I'm talking about. So they
Yeah.
leveraging that. I look at with the nieces and the nephews where you're training and putting people in position. Yeah, you founded it, but you are having it where they know how to run it. It's
Right.
generating and creating a lifestyle. Just like Rick Ross, he set things up for his mother and his sister to own franchises. So they make their own money. They're doing their own training. But yeah, he's able to set some things up, but they are bossing up, no pun intended. They're bossing up and it's creating generational wealth. I see your family doing that too as well. All of them are doing you. They're not trying to be Kim. You're not trying to be them, but you're creating lanes for everybody to be able to eat. Like, even like I'm just using, just say for instance, with your older son, whatnot. So, okay, yeah, he has a son. He has things going on. He has his home. He has his responsibilities, but
Right.
not just a stipend from mama. You're giving him assets over liabilities.
Right.
He's learning the game. He's learning the system. You're leaving more into him than to him. See, and the proof is in the pudding. So, once again, like I was sharing earlier, hey, y'all, I just did a hard note speak and all that right there. But at the same time, this is somebody who's playing it out. Like, this is what the real flex is. When you're able to have your children move into this area and you're not fighting or hitting them in the head or going to a meth clinic, what I'm saying, then I think that's a win. That they're not allowing a lifestyle to get to them or take away from them, Kim. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And I want to bring it to my man Darren. And when we look at this, Darren, I know you know more than anybody with this. It's so many things that you've been able to do. And I guess what I want to just focus on today is how do you keep, because you're like a fish out of water. So it didn't make any sense to the people at Harvard when you was talking about going to a Steve Spurrier summer camp and you come out with a bright idea that you want to go into coaching. And then you wasn't just living a lovely lifestyle or whatnot in Kansas City. You was in there with mildew and jock straps and sweat, and that wasn't the ideal situation, okay, where you could have been working for a firm or whatnot, or looking at trying to do a partnership in Boston somewhere or whatnot, in the Ivy Leagues, okay? So for you to go there and then transition from even there and going back into education, and then when you were talking entrepreneurial to those who were in education, what's wrong with you? Why don't you just sit here and get your pension? As the folks say down south, you got your good government job. Why don't you sit down somewhere and just retire? That's what you need to do. That's what you need. So can you talk to us about the empire building for you to not allow the circumstance or the environment to dictate your destiny for the legacy of you and your family?
So I think the starting point for me is always the question, what lights me up? Right? Like really getting still and asking yourself, what lights me up, and being honest with the answer, to the point to where if the answer is something that differs from what the people in your corner or your circle think you should be doing, you're confident and optimistic enough to go and do that. So I always start with what lights me up. Then the second question for me is, how do I scale this? Right. And so for me, it was, I coached at a camp, loved coaching, wrote a letter to every team in the NFL. One team gave me a shot, did that for 7 years. But then when I got fired from the Browns, the day I got fired, I'm scrambling eggs. And my oldest son, Dylan, was 4. And he walks in and says, "You eat breakfast?"
Wow.
So I turned to my wife. I'm like, "What?" I said, "Look, I'm a public school kid, and you convinced me to put him into a Montessori school. So I need a refund somewhere." And she said, "Well, when was the last time you had breakfast with Dylan?" And so the irony hit me. I was spending all of my time with other people's sons, and my own son didn't know me.
Wow. And
so for me, I said, okay, I enjoy the two loves of my life are speaking and writing. I started out on the real estate side. I started out as a landlord. I didn't like getting calls about the toilet was broken and the roof was leaking. So I hired a property manager. Then I said, you know what? I don't even like managing the property manager. So I started to create SPVs, special purpose vehicles, where I could now combine investments and invest in the multifamily units in Austin. So I think it's important to remember, for me, it comes down to people, business, and systems. And really getting honest with, do you like to manage a lot of people, or do you want to be a light organization? I have 3 people who work with me, 2 of whom I've never laid eyes on. They are in Manila. And they help run my business 24/7. Those folks gave me 30% of my time back. I have a virtual assistant. Her name is Joy. Listen, my wife says she's my second wife. Joy manages my life. Joy books flights. Joy does DMs. Joy chops up clips. She schedules posts. She invoices contracts. So I think it's important to say, who are the people and what is the business and the systems that align with what I want to do, and then build it from there. So I think, in thinking about the book, for some people, the book is the final destination. For me, it's always been the starting point, right? The book is just it's another way to scale yourself beyond you standing up and telling people your story. Now, anyone can buy it at any day or, any time of the day on Amazon. I always say, look, if someone asks you, where can I buy your book? They're not buying it. All right. It's on Amazon. Everybody's book's on Amazon, right? So the book allows you to scale beyond what you can do. But then what I also want to remind people is the title of your book is a keynote. The chapter titles of your book are keynotes. The chapters are courses. The book is a course. And so as you start to go from, I'm always thinking, how can I go from async? I'll reverse that. From synchronous to async. Synchronous, I got to be there at a certain time in a certain place. Async says 24/7, someone can access this knowledge online. So how do I convert the book into a course? How do I convert the book into an online PDF? How do I convert the book into a program, a coaching program, a mastermind? So I just want people to think, I love books. I'm a liberal arts major by trade. I taught liberal arts and I love it. It is the starting point. I think what I've learned from just listening to everyone else is the book has enabled people to scale their message beyond their immediate audience. And that's what's powerful about the book.
Man, come on now. Come on now. We got some notes with people in the room. Kim Changed the Narrative by George Johnson. Also, we got my girl Nicole on the talking about yes, Queen, talking about Kim Lots, what you was going on. Then we got George with people, business, and system. My man Will Baggett, the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Talk that talk, coach. That's what my man Will Baggett is talking about. I wanted to give a shout out to that. And I like that you shared there, especially with that async component. And I think that's the thing that we got to make sure. What life do you want to live? Making that decision. I brought that up earlier with Joe, and going back to what you were sharing too, Darren, like, and I see that connection like with Josh, with him stopping everything for his marriage and just driving, doing a manifest destiny to make sure his marriage was right. Number one, like if he's going to close a deal, if he can go and knock on people's doors to see if he can do their roofs, surely he can go and drive cross country and knock on the door until he's able to close the deal to get his wife and have the family that he wants. And I think that's something that we have seen just resonated in all those who are sharing here. I mean, I don't want to get all, Jim Ronish on you or whatnot, Tony Robbins, but at the same time, you got to have a big enough why. And when I'm seeing that, Darren, another why I want to bring up, I love that part of you knowing who you are. Are you doing something? I was a part of a mastermind to share. Do you really need this many millions? What size company do you really need? Because you might have listened to somebody on a podcast, or you might have been in a room and you saw somebody else with a jet, but really you would have been good with just flying private and you had the money to fly private. Or you could have shared it and used it like a mastermind and had people to spend time with or partner with some people that's a part of your mastermind to be able to lease it out or make money on it. Or you know what? You don't even have to have a plane because you really don't fly that much. So you might want to do that, like I saw where it was a gentleman who had a plane and he realized that, okay, I needed it at that time because I was running a lot of real estate deals, and I wanted to be home for my kids, but I have adult kids now. And my real estate is running on is I don't have to travel for those deals like I used to. I wanted to be back in time to watch my kids' baseball games and all that, and all of them are grown. Now I might do it again when I get ready to have grandkids when that time comes. But as of right now, I don't need it. But I'm just saying that SPV type deal, is that for you? You know, not saying this, but it's not like Josh is doing a lot of residential. He's doing multifamily. So even within something, you find your niche within a niche, what works best for you, and making sure that you are aligning with that and being real with yourself, because if you don't want to pay that cost, then that's perfectly fine. You know, find that unique experience for yourself and being able to leverage that.
Can I say one thing? Just on that point, my mentor always says to me, the same time and effort that it takes to do $1,000 deal is the same time and effort that it takes to do a $10 million deal. If it's a $1,000 project or a $10 million project, the same number of pages in the contract, the numbers just change. And so I think that we oftentimes limit ourselves and we don't get honest and say, I'm always thinking about what's my number? What's the number if the life expectancy is 83 in the US? I'm gonna trust God that I get to 90. I have 5 kids, we're gonna put them through college. Like, what's the number that I need to satisfy all of the metrics that I want my family to hit? And then once I get to that number, whatever happens over there, that's God's blessing. But like really putting a number to it and then working backwards from how do I create products and services that get me and align me with that number. I'm gonna be quiet. It's East Texas came out and I'm gonna be quiet.
Come on now.
Mic drop.
That's it. We got another bag drop. We got another bag drop in here as far as that. And I see the correlations. I want people just to understand that. It's showing you how you leverage and the reason you can go. And if you have a desire to create, and this is something that's in your wheelhouse, put it out anyway. Put it out anyway. Let's understand that. I want to dive into this too before we get out of here, because all of you have found a way to understand the power of people and understanding how to leverage partnerships. So whether you went in the business with someone, whether it's you been able to leverage networks, whether it's mastermind, books you read, and associations and conferences that you attend, but you all have done an amazing job, or partner with getting and attracting the right type of staff, people to work with you. So can you speak to the success of that? How has that helped you be able to go from one step to another when it comes to empire building by the networks that you have? And this is not just getting cars from Kinko's or whatnot, or Office Depot, and going to an event where everyone is thirsty and they're just making it rain with business cards all over the place. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being really intentional with people that's in your network to be able to leverage that. So let's tie into that. I'm going to throw that to Ruben. Ruben, let's bring that to you right now first, man. How have you leveraged networking and networks to be able to help you reach the goals for you and your business?
Yeah, I think I always look at it from the top perspective down, right? Not so A to B. So I mean, if you go to the top to the bottom, then you'll pretty much be able to get everything that you want, versus like, hey, you know what, I want to talk to this person, let me go introduce myself to them, and then that's pretty much it. That's all you really get. So with that being said, you really have to think of like how you can attract the person to you more than anything, so that way, by the time that they actually do meet you, they're more interested in you helping them than something where like you're trying to beg the person to actually do something for you, right? And I'm not saying that in a manipulative way. It just means that that's really how we are as humans, right? Like I meet you, you meet me, and automatically you're like, what do you want? And so if you're coming in a place from that, then you're automatically losing. And so you really have to think, how can I attract them to me? How can I have so much interesting stuff? They say you should be interested in the person, not interesting. But if you're not interesting at all, then you're going to lose them. You can be interested in them all you want, but then at that point you become a groupie. And I think that that's the problem, is at the moment that you become a groupie, you don't get paid what you want to get paid. And so you have to compromise. And so you really have to think of it from the top to the bottom. And if you really start thinking, how can I get here, and how can I make them see that I'm here with them and not that I'm here, and then have to try to work my way up, then you'll get the actual result that you want.
You trying to tell me it's not a lot of love being a side chick, then, Ruben? I hear you, man. I hear you. You want to be a
yeah, we've all tried it and it never worked, right? So
it never worked, bro. Okay, then the side chick ministry wasn't working. Okay, then, man. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to make sure that we understood that. And I want to dive into that with Josh too a little bit too, because some people think I'm making it up, and I know Josh knows it's true. He's in circles that understand this. Josh has dealt with multiple mastermind elite events. He's constantly on a quest to find the next one. And there's been times where he's had to look for like a needle in a haystack, where because some people might have had some exclusive, but then they start looking at numbers and metrics, and it's like, why deal with 10 to 20 people? Let me just open it up for everybody, flood the market. And for those who really want that premium experience, it's diluted now. So can you talk a little bit about that? Even with what you've been executive with Apex now, it's been a journey to get there, and you've been able to leverage relationships throughout this. So can you talk to that, how you and Megan have been able to leverage, masterminds and associations to be able to do some of the things you've been doing for us relationships?
Yeah, my success is 100% stolen from everybody on the internet. Whether we learn in the new age that education is no longer in a book, in a classroom that yields a college certificate that you hang on your wall, it now exemplifies itself via YouTube videos, via videos that we're doing right now, putting out content that it has all of the lessons that were learned, not in one book, but taking, sections and chapters that multiple books now in one hour session, we can take 20 lessons and communicate that same information that would take months of time, condense down the actual nuts and bolts of what that is into a shortened period of time in an easier way for people to digest that. And so I treat the same situation when it comes to networking, is that at first you're not worthy to sit at the table. Then you earn yourself enough income, you get enough information to get an income level where you can buy a seat at the table. Once you buy a seat at the table and you can afford that seat to have those conversations and hear those conversations, you then become worthy to have the conversation at that table yourself and share your opinion at that table. And it's no different in the dichotomy of relationships within a marriage, your kids, your wife, your family, literally anybody that you know. You guys have to have an opportunity to ebb and flow and give and take and earn the respect and earn the opportunity to be there. And so, as you progress through everybody, not for everybody, but there's a lot of mastermind opportunities out there. There's a lot of opportunities that people that have done things are. And so choosing somebody who has exactly what you want in life, or at least a lot of the things that you want, or whatever that happens to be. And then something that Brandon Dawson talks about a lot would be going ahead and copying it, right? We copy it, we model, we mimic, and then we master. So taking what they're doing it repetitively until you get good at it, and then eventually you put your own little quirks and spins on it. Nothing that we're going to say outside of somebody that's in an engineering field like Elon Musk. 99% of the information transfer that we're going to hear in our lifetime has been regurgitated 4 trillion different ways by the same 25 different successful people over the years, who then have changed the way that it's said 14 times until it's said in a way that it clicks in our own head. We have the same conversation with our kids, right? As they're trying to learn math or tie their shoe, we're going to keep teaching them, bopping them over the head. This is the go around the loop. You go in the trace the rabbit through the hole and pop it. Until you say it in a way that it clicks for the kid, the information is useless. It can be the exact same information every single time that you say it, but by tweaking the way that it's said until it finally clicks, that's the secret sauce. And so for me, it's been a matter of getting the same, the information said 25 different ways and 25 different networks. And, I've gone through and platformed my business with Grant Cardone's organization and Cardone Ventures. So I literally did everything that he had available because I wanted 6 years ago to be who Grant was and what he had. And when he started to go down a rabbit hole in a direction as his life evolved, it no longer fit my purpose. And so, people are in each other's lives for seasons. Nobody on this earth is meant to be in your life aside from, the Almighty, from the moment you're born until the moment that you die. And understanding that as we move further and further in through the seasons that we're in, leaving this season to move into the next season, we have to leave behind what was there before in order to shed who we were to grow into who we can become. And masterminds help me do that.
Wow. Like, how I was able to understand it from a wise man, a sage who told me, he said, "I see," said the blind man to his deaf dog. That's profound. Author unknown. Okay, so when I hear you share that, but I want to talk to another element on that some people don't understand. I like that, Joyce, that model, mimic, and master. Let's dive into this because this is another element that you brought up. And when we're looking at some of the best deals I've had, and this is not a push, but I'm just being real. When I understood the hack of actually investing to get into the right rooms and what that has done for me, how that has been an incubator for as me. And I know sometimes you think when people are saying something that they're just selling you. So I'm not saying that, sales is not a bad thing. If it can help you, it can help you. But Josh, I know that you know this, and I know others in the room know this. It's something you get when you're in the right room with the right people. that you can be around a lot of other people, but if they don't have the budget for what you have, you have limited your life, your legacy, everything that you said you cared about, because you don't have the guts to get around people who actually want what you have. Then now everyone else around you is limited because you think, because the group and the peer group you currently are around, they think this way or their budget is this way. So you think that the budget doesn't exist. And that's a myth. That's a lie. That doesn't exist. So it's been masterminds and rooms that I have been in that have led to lifelong relationships where people are going harder than me, than people who've been knowing me my whole life. It's people who just, hey, this is a person, boom, 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 boom. Hey, sit over there. This is our people. It's price is a myth. It doesn't even exist with these people because of the relationships. So can you talk to that you actually invested real money in being a part of it? Because I think when I hear you say, oh, I was just over here at this and then I went over here, we're not putting really, I'm not saying you got to tell all your business, but I'm just saying, would you say, let's just give a ballpark number. What would you say that you've invested in masterminds and right groups to be a part of?
Well, first things first is people that are doing real stuff don't have a problem talking about real numbers. So let's not.
Okay.
So, I know this because we just had to audit all of this. So through the process of masterminds and, GrowthCon backstage tickets over every year that GrowthCon was, and platforming the company. So Grant's organization, we spent a little over $1.5 million going through all of the processes, the 360s, the sending my teams to boot camps. We've been a little almost going on 10 years Cardone University users as the company goes. Within that, Apex is a $50,000 ticket for the year, mastermind wise. So that gets you in the room for 12 months, and then but that doesn't include the meetup, right? So the whole reason to become an Apex executive is to fly into Dallas on the first Friday of every month and spend a day and a half with Ryan Stewman and his team in their mastermind. And so it's $50,000 to get in the room, and then that's just administration, right? So then you got 2 nights in hotels, airfare, travel back and forth, blah blah blah. I'm blessed that this year they invited me to become one of their coaches, so I get a stipend back out of that, but I pay to be in the group because I'm not there. Just like Ryan will tell you the same conversations that I'm not. While I may have value to add to some other people that are there, I'm there to find the next thing. I'm there to find where the guy that's the guy is telling Ryan to go put $20 million of cash into, so I can go put $1.5 million into it. Because for my sake of it, anybody that's got $20 million to just write a check to go do whatever that is, it's a good enough due diligence for me, right? At the end of the day, we check a track record. As long as they're not sticking it in some kind of pyramid Ponzi scheme, that's my pulse of what the industry, what people are doing with money that at a big high level is if you can get in a group of people that are all paying a large price to be in the room, and a large quantity of them are pushing a lot of chips in on certain bets. As long as you're at the front end of the bet, when you're talking AMC in the stock market, if you're the first guy that went in and bought AMC, went on Reddit, told everybody, you guys should all go buy all this, and sold at the top of it, as long as you can move in at the beginning of that before it becomes the fad thing and the cool thing to do, then you have opportunity that doesn't exist for a lot of other people. And you have to pay to play in order to get into that room initially.
Like Campbell soup. It's good. It's good. So when you're sharing that, I just want somebody else to hear it. So for those who understand, I think some people you're bringing, and I'm not knocking anybody, I'm just telling you this just to help. If you bring your employee mindset into the quadrant of a business owner or an investor, you're going to lose every time. So your employee and self-employed mindset that you can do hair, nobody can do hair better than you. You can do taxes, nobody, instead of creating a QuickBooks system You know, like my man DK, my man D Rob was talking about, Coach DKR async, where it can make money when you sleep or whenever. But if you think you have to be the best local tax person and you got to touch every document, then you're missing out on scale because you don't understand that. And that's the same thing that what Josh is saying about the right rooms. You can go into the right room. Yes, it's an investment. And I wanted him to break that down just for clarity purposes. So just because he's a part of the mastermind, that still doesn't mean that he doesn't have to invest in his business. See, some people think, well, if I put that money up, then you gonna run the business for me? If you're gonna do my kids' bar mitzvah and you're gonna do that quinceañera, and are you gonna show up right there to take my kids to school? If you're gonna be my Uber and my Lyft? No, 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 no. That's in addition to what you're doing, but you know where to be at the right time that allow for you not to have to do the heavy lifting on stuff. Your heavy lifting is getting with the right people and not leaving the mastermind and say, oh man, that was a waste. You're not getting online and complaining and saying that I didn't get anything out of it, because guess what? I didn't make my money back that same day. See, that's how you gauge it. Your perception is wrong. So now you believe that's your reality. Oh, that's a lie. They got over on me on that mastermind. I went up there for the whole weekend and I told Becky that I was going to bring something back. I didn't get one deal off the darn thing. I think they're robbing people over there. See, so that is not helping anyone because your mindset isn't right yet. So you think that you are supposed to have everything that you need immediately, not knowing the understanding of the relationship. So when you have relationship, things just start to open up. When you have the relationships, you're here, it's organic. It's like Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. It's organically happening, and it continues to build benefits for years to come. So that's what you got to understand. You got to think like Ruben talks about with the difference between marketing and branding. It's more of a longer play, but it's more beneficial with having the brand. But if you're trying to just sell widgets, you really don't have a business. You're just selling widgets. And the next hot thing come along and they throw you out like Tulsa warmed over because you don't have a brand. So people still go to Starbucks regardless of the new coffee shop that's down the road because they are in love with Starbucks, regardless if it's the best coffee or not. So I just wanted to bring that up, even some of the things that we've been able to do because of that relationship. And even with me and Josh and a lot of the people who here, I just look at, we met because we were investing in ourselves. Like majority of the people that I'm connected with who's on this panel right now, our relationships stem from, we might have met each other somewhere, but it's had been continued growth and improvement over the years. None of us are the same as we were when we first met. None of us. So it's continuing to grow to be able to thrive. And so I want to bring that around to, let's look at what's happening right now. We got an event. I want to start tying this up into events because we're a little bit past the hour. And I want to start talking about things that you all are doing, still talking about the partnerships, but I want to start talking about events and programs that you all have. I want to throw it over to you, George, real quick, because you have something going on in the Bahamas, I believe. Talk to us about it and some of the other things that you have going on as far as partnerships and relationships and network and how you're leveraging that.
Yeah, well, we have a collegiate track meet that's going to take place, Island Relays Bahamas in the Bahamas, March 17th through and 18th. And I have a partnership. You talk about partners, right? So I had an opportunity because I've to go to the Bahamas and plan a coaches clinic many years ago. And then I helped create the first basketball ranking system for them. During that time, I met a gentleman who loved everything basketball in the Bahamas, and through a mutual friend who was my partner then. Well, that partner really didn't work out, but I was looking at this guy. I'm like, wow, we work well together. I mean, we execute well together and things. And so later we end up becoming partners, and, 12, years later, here we are. And now we had, the prime minister, the former prime minister, come to us in 2019 after an event and said, would you help us bring additional sporting events to the Bahamas? So, that's built on partnership. And then we have now we've had someone come to us and say, hey, would you guys do a master's track meet in September? So we're looking to host 14, former athletes that are still in the game in September, and so on and so forth. my women's retreats, as I said before, I wanted to empower women and to teach women and to help women, just find that power within and understand that they can accomplish the things they want and how to go about doing so. And so I have my women's retreat that's going to take place in June in Cancun. We just left the Bahamas in October. We're going to Cancun Father's Day weekend, the 15th through the 18th. Fathers, men, don't get upset. I've asked Darren to bring the man cave. So, that can be your Father's Day gift. Because so we'll have the women's retreat, but we'll also have the man cave there. And because we did have some husbands join us in the Bahamas, and they were kind of like wandering around, like, what am I going to do? So we said, you know what, next time we're going to have something for you. So we're going to have the women's retreat there. And that is stemmed from, I launched that. Initially, I wanted to do it on different islands in the Bahamas every year. And COVID hit. And so we went virtual, and we stuck with it. Like I said, I believe in being consistent, as, messaging and supporting my audience. And so it has grown, and we'll be in Cancun, except Father's Day weekend, June 15th through 18th. And that's, it's been great. And you mentioned Kim doing a heart note. You pull in, I created that heart note when I did my first women's event. And Kim has come and done that heart note for me. I believe it's important that when we get to an event that we get recentered and we open up our minds, our body, our spirit to where we are and be in that moment. So those are just some things that we have going on that is, from the brand is sort of, our give back, our network, and the way that we're building women cohorts to build businesses and opportunities together.
Awesome. Thank you, Joyce. Now, I just wanted to share, is it safe to disclose just a tad bit that I think the economic impact for the relays already surpassed what? Oh,
yes.
Is it 20 million? What I don't want to. I don't know if I'm off.
Well, we're already at we're already at 2.4 million. So we decided to go to Grand Bahama Island this time instead of doing the event in Nassau where we normally host events. And the reason for that is because in 2019, Hurricane Dorian hit Grand Bahama, and then they have recorded 3,000 loss of life. A big part of that is that there wasn't a hurricane shelter there. And so, growing up in Galveston Island myself, I know what it is to have a hurricane hit your community. I know what it is to be impacted and be devastated to that level. So we built a partnership with Bahamas Red Cross, and we're going to be raising money during this event to help them build the final building for a hurricane shelter. And so the impact, we have Texas A&M coming, University of South Carolina, who's our partner school, University of Arizona, Vanderbilt, University of Oklahoma will be there with us, University of Bahamas. And so the schools will also be raising money for the Bahamas Red Cross. So that community really needed the revenue. And so through the hotels, we already have 3 different hotels booked on that island, and over 300 rooms booked for, thousands of room nights, and over, just from the private plane pieces that the schools are flying in on, already spent over $450,000 there. And so the impact to that community and keeping people working, getting people back to work, has already reached a mark of 2.4 million back into the community just by us beginning to plan this event.
That's what I'm talking about. I just wanted to show that you can have a cause with money being made and people being helped at the same time. Because you hear relays, they just out there, that's cute, they just running. It's an economic impact, and it's with a cause. So income and impact can coincide.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely. If you're doing it right, thank you.
That's it. And, I want to bring this up too as well before we close it out. I want to hit everyone with the event. So I know Mom Boss. Kim, if you don't mind, talk to us about Mom Boss or whatnot. You shared a little bit about getting rid of the stigmas when it came to single moms and other things like that. Can you talk about some of the things that you got going on with Mom Boss, the events, and what that is about and how people can get involved?
Okay, well, even before I speak just on Mom Boss,
Okay,
I wanted to kind of just say when talk about the investment side of it, the partnership. For me, investment allowed me, investing in myself allowed me to be able to connect with people like you all. And I think, you know, when we say getting in the room, it's important to get in the room. Just being the connection that I've had, just being able to invest in myself, rather just with self-published 30 days, writing my books has gotten me so far. You know what? People begin to take me a little more serious. Hey, because I'm an author, you know, and then when you get the opportunity to speak, you know, internationally, you know, for Joyce and Y Sales Network, giving me the opportunity to speak in the Bahamas. I mean, it don't get any better than that. And that's why, you know, people really have to understand the importance of investing in yourself. You know, I know like even a lot of people, you know, they'll use the excuse, well, you know, I don't have the money to really do or to invest in myself. Well, hey, you know what? Sometimes you have to just make a way, put back some of, you know, everything you is not important. That concert might not be important right now. You know, just doing things that's not of an importance. You can just let that be for a while and invest in things that is more important, that's going to get you where you need to be. So I am honored and blessed, first and foremost, to even be on this call with, you know, such, you know, people like you all, to be in this room together where we have connected and have given people like myself the opportunity to be able to, you know, show others what I do, and giving me the opportunity to be who I am. And even when Mom Boss actually came one day, you know, I got to thinking about myself. You know, I know I'm always putting myself in situations of understanding more of why I do the things that I do. But Mom Boss actually came because I was actually thinking, well, man, if I'm having, you know, some issues sometimes with balancing life as a mom and an entrepreneur, I know so many other women are too. So being that I am so big on always inspiring and encouraging others to live your best life, to be the best you, to be the best version of yourself. So yes, I created Mom Boss. This is an organization where that women can come together. Moms that are entrepreneurs can come together, and they have a safe place to, you know, to just vent, to be able to, you know, if they need to cry, you know, that's fine. We have this organization where we can be there for each other. But at the end of the day, once we don't cry and kicked our shoes off or did what we need to do, we still can come back together and uplift each other and get out there and get that bag. So for me, having this type of organization have allowed me to connect with so many other amazing women. Like I have been able to connect with so many amazing women, and we come together, we meet once a month, and we're able to be there to help, you know, uplift each other, to keep pushing even when you get to the point in your life like, man, I'm tired as a mom, like this is a lot being a mom and a boss. Like, wow, when they get to that point and we get to that point, we're able to, you know, hey sis, come on, you got this, you got this, keep pushing, because there is light at the end of that tunnel. So that's why, you know, I created Mom Boss, and it has been an amazing organization. And you know, if you are a mom that is an entrepreneur, or you know, a mom that's starting a business, you know, reach out to me, because this is what it is. We want to inspire. We want to help you to, you know, to be able to balance life. Because guess what? Like Darren was saying, system in place plays a big part. You don't want to just be working just to be working. You want to be working to be able to work, but also enjoy life. And a lot of people get so caught up into just working. You can work, but are you really doing anything? So I just think even creating this organization has allowed us to be able, for me, to be able to show other women, yeah, let's work, let's get it done, but let's also enjoy life. That's how so many people get so burnt out so quickly, because it's all about work and not being able to enjoy.
Did Kim go into the matrix on me? Okay. Okay, here she come back. Okay. Let me get my girl back in. She was going in. She was going. She went into. See, the enemy tried to stop. She won't be denied. Come on back in. Let me lay hands on the screen. Come on back. Look at the power. Look at the authority. Look at the authority. Bug on back. You can't tell me laying hands don't work. Go ahead, Kim. Finish up what you're gonna say. You right there.
But
Go ahead,
like But you know what? I'm just gonna say this. Create the life you want. Create the life you want to create for yourself. Do not allow your status. Do not allow who you are or what people look at you as being. Create that life that you desire and that you deserve. And that's what I'm telling my moms out there. I got a new book out called Choose You. And I've been hitting it real hard with that book, and just it's like that permission book to just give you the opportunity to choose yourself in life. Like, we do so much, but that's a whole nother level. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah,
So,
I ain't gonna say nothing, man. I ain't got my copy yet, but I ain't got my signed copy, but we'll talk about that off there. Because I ain't gonna hold no grudge. I'm not gonna hold a grudge. I ain't got my signed copy yet, but we'll talk about that at another time. But I appreciate you sharing it though, and pouring into people when it comes to that. And I wanna throw it real quick, if you don't mind, Ruben. If it's an event coming up in July, you got El Paso on fire. I don't know if Bad Bunny gonna be there or not, but it's rumors circulating around. You know what I'm saying? So just talk to me, man. It might be a Bad Bunny lookalike. It might be One Eye Bunny, but I don't know. Talk to us, man. What's going on in July, man?
That's gonna be me in a wig, Bad Ruben. That's about as far as we got right now. No, so the cool thing and also the hard thing about El Paso is that it's behind 10 years on trends and everything else. So we are basically putting together the first actual business conference in El Paso. Everything else is little tiny networking meet and greets and stuff like that. And so one, we're excited, right? Two, I think we have the perfect name for it, which is The Moment. And some people might be like, oh, The Moment, but obviously there's a moment that everybody experiences where their life changes. And so what we're doing is we're basically forcing and creating that moment for people. And so that's why we call it the Moment Conference. We're excited about it, but the only thing is that we are facing an uphill battle. One, because we've never done it before, which anybody who's never done anything before, obviously nobody believes in you, right? Which we already started to see today. Two, we have to find funding from bigger sponsors who we don't have connections with, which was another reason that we did it. So that way it really forces us to grow into that position. And then three, we have to find a way to sell tickets without any speakers yet. So it's kind of a catch-22 with conferences if nobody's ever thrown one. You either need the money to put forward to the speaker and put your own money, or you need to raise the money for a speaker that doesn't exist yet. And so we're in this very interesting position. I'm 3 years into my business. I've been wanting to throw a conference for about 2 years out of those three business, but I didn't have the cash. And that's the reason that conference and cash starts with the same thing, because you need a little bit of both to be able to do it. So but yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. Other than that, I think it's going to be really great. We have a lot of speakers that we're already lined up with. We have one main speaker who we're trying to go with. And I think we're just going to leverage what we have, which is basically a market that nobody's really been into. So it's a brand new market that anybody can be exposed into. And we're going to have about 400 or 500 people in seats. So I think that it's a really good opportunity for anybody to come, learn, meet, or speak at. And I'll hold my word to that. So I don't know about Bad Bunny, but we do have quite a bit of surprises lined up for this because we're all about experience. So it's going to be definitely immersive. It's going to be one of a kind business conference. I think the closest thing that we can compare it to is we're going to try to beat or top the 10X experience. So
okay, come on now.
Awesome. Darren, if I may chime in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ruben's someone that does conferences and consulted on conferences and things. Since it is the first and largest, what have you, go and speak with the tourism board there and ask them for financial support and to be your partner and talk about partnerships. Don't do it alone. Don't lose alone. Go find a partner. There's a company out there. There's the tourism board. There's the city that needs it if they haven't had it before, and they will help you.
Yeah, that's that's our plans. The drawback that we have right now is that since everything is 10 years behind in the past, if I don't know you, you don't know me, and therefore you don't want to help me. And so that's a little bit of just what we're trying to do. But I hadn't thought of the tourism board, which I'm pretty sure that there is. That's one that I hadn't heard of. So that's really, really good information, and I appreciate it.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much. See, this is what it's all about. That's what Kim was saying too. It's that networking. It's the partnership, leaning on people, you know, the whole nine. And I want you, if you don't mind, I thank you, Ruben, for sharing that. Thank you, Joyce, for dropping those gems as well. But Darren, I want you to share, because to monetize your message. I know you all have some things that you and Will are over there cooking up. I love it. And I wanted to really have you on too as well, because, you know, like what we do with books and the whole nine, like what Joyce does with sales, like what Ruben does for branding, and like what Kim does for the mom bosses or whatnot, and Josh does for people who are looking at getting in multifamily and the whole nine, and being an accredited investor and so on. I think that you are able to do that because I have watched you literally go from that gift card from Starbucks to the amount of, you have done it by design of how many speaking engagements that you have. So for some of those out there, that it's been by choice, the speaking engagements that Darren does. So he has a goal that he does it because of family reasons, that he chooses to do those type of events, and he has other things that's able to supplement in other areas. So don't get it confused. He could actually magnify those numbers, but he chooses to do it because of the quality of life. So Darren, can you speak to the people or whatnot, how you can help them grow in their business and their message and the things that they're doing?
No, thank you. And I think that, the first thing is, it's always important to start with the end in mind, right? And so for me, I have 5 kids from ages 12 to 5. It is vitally important for me to take them to school, drop them off, show up for lunches, take them to horseback riding, gymnastics. So I want to maximize my time and my family. And so that means when I do come outside, right, it has to be of value to me. It has to justify being away. And my wife and I made a commitment 4 years ago where every year for one solid month, we take our kids to an international destination. So last year was Costa Rica, 2019, it was Belgium and the UK. That was important to us. And so I worked backwards from there to say, I'm going to do 40 keynotes at 25K minimum every single year. And look, 2013, it was Starbucks gift cards, and it was, the Elks. I went on the Animal House tour, was talking to the Elks and the Lions and the Kiwanis clubs. But over time, it builds. And this is why I think this is where the book comes into play, because it gives you credibility, but it then also launches you to different stages that you wouldn't have been able to speak on before.
Right.
So you're speaking, and I started when I was like, I had the banner in the back of the room and the square reader and reading cards. Now what I do is I bundle 400 books for your group. They're going to get shipped to you. I'm going to sign them. If you're a nonprofit, you're going to write an in-kind contribution letter, and I'm going to write that off. But it's become a part of my bundle to where every group that I speak to, all of their attendees get signed books from me. Because I want it in as many hands as possible, and I want to be able to leverage it for a higher speaker number. So for folks out there who, you've written the book and you're excited, and I'll tell you that the Reader's Digest did a study last year where 80% of the people who write books will get $5,000 worth of revenue. That's not to say to do it, but over the life of the book, your parents are going to buy, your cousins, and then it levels off. Keep squeezing the revenue out of the book by converting it to a message that gets you on stages. And all of the opportunities that people have talked about, I've got investment deals from someone who was sitting in the audience from a keynote, right? I've gotten invitations to masterminds from somebody who was sitting in the audience of a keynote. So I really, that's why I love what you've built, Darren, with Self-Publishing in 30 Days, is that this book becomes the business and can be the launch pad for all of these ancillary services. The major in-person event that we do is called Platform. It's going to be in Dallas this year in June. We take either existing speakers who are just getting started or speakers who want to leverage up, and they come in for 2 days, and we don't just preach to them on the mechanics of speaking, but you come and you get professional headshots. You come and you get the 5 shots that you need on stage, behind you, front, down below the stage. You get those, and you leave with a hard drive with all of this content. You get the 1-pager done for you. We provide you with the opportunity to do a mock podcast and the taping. So we want to give people tangible takeaways. So when you get back home and you finally take all the luggage out, you've got you have some content that you can leverage tomorrow to up your speaking game. Last couple of things. I'm sending something in the private chat. One thing that we found is that there are a lot of services out there who are kind of preaching, we're going to help you build your speaking business. I always say to people this: make sure the folks who are selling that business are speaking, right? It's a lot of people selling process, but they're not processing, all right? And so this is a thing where we built a course to say, hey, how do you take your book and then convert it into a 6-figure business, right? And we show you actual numbers. We get down to spreadsheets and the process. And then we also have a newsletter that we launched through Substack. One thing else I'm going to say is your book is a newsletter. The title of your book is a newsletter. The newsletter is the gateway to emails, and the emails is more business, right? So we have a Monetize Your Message Substack that I'm sharing, that every week we give a tip on Tuesday that says, hey, here's a tip how to get started. Here's a tip how to negotiate more. Here's a tip on how to, really build out that one pager. So all we want to do is help folks get more money, but really buy freedom, right? What we're really trying to do, all of us, we're trying to get the revenue to buy our time back. And that's why I think what's special with what everyone's doing here on the call, from Ruben to Joyce and Boss Babe, Boss Mama. I mean, all of you have done incredible work, and it's good to see you're creating the freedom that you've always envisioned.
Awesome. I thank you for that, Darren, and I'm glad that you shared that. And also, I want to give that information out for people who there. But some of you might be like, okay, Darren, I understand it. I get it. But I'm ready to go to that next level. Like they say, new. I'm ready to go to that next level. Just kind of like you, it was great. The Kiwanis Club, shout out to the Kiwanis Club and all that, the Lions Club. That was great at one time. But there are people out there, because I know of them, some of them who are authors who are looking at like, okay, did I just hear him say 25 grand for a talk, 25 grand for a program? I want to look at those type of talks. I don't want to just have gift cards. So that's another vibe. So also they have things that are premium for you, because that's my thing too. If you know you're already at a certain level, don't waste. If you already are at 6-figure speaking, and you know you on another level, don't be wasting your time with somebody telling you how to be a 6-figure speaker. Because you want to do more than that. You see what I'm saying? So think about that. When you're looking at what you're doing, don't waste your time. It's just like if I got a kid of mine, they're bored if they're in regular class because they're advanced in their class. So they can get in trouble because they're not entertained, because they're not engaged. And we are, as adults and entrepreneurs, are the same way. If you don't get engaged by being in the right rooms, for somebody else, you can look like a superhero. But that's when it's time to go to another room where you're the low person on the totem pole, where you got to think again. You got to fight. You got to ask questions. You got to be able to step your game up. So it's quick to be the big fish if you want to be, but you got to go to another sea, go to another ocean that make you go from faith to faith, from glory to glory, into new highs and to new dimensions. But with that being said, all this information, the information from Kim Lotz on Mom Boss, the stuff with Joshua, the stuff with Joyce, my man Darren K. Roberts, my man Ruben, everyone, if you don't have those, reach out to us. Whatever's, if you can reach out to them personally. If you can't find them for whatever reason, our team will give you access to them or how to get to a member of their team. But reach out to these individuals, get the products and services. Let your next move be your best move. This has been Book to Business Conference 2023. I want to thank all of you personally. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Ruben. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Josh. Josh is sending me some messages. He was time to eat dinner with his family. I don't want to hold people up from their families, but he had their dinner that they was eating. He's living example of what we're talking about right now. They got certain rules that they have. He gave me all he could with that non-negotiable. And so that is some of the things that we represent here for his family, faith, and finances or whatnot, and fitness. Can't leave fitness out or whatnot. So we want to leave that there. So thank all of you for a successful conference. please reach out. I want to give a shout out to my man Will in the chat. George did an amazing job. My girl Nicole represented too as well. Ruben, thank you all too as well for all that you all share. But until next time, remember that this is the year for your new book and also the year for you to get that bag for you and your family. Till next time, be blessed and be great. We'll see y'all.
Be great. Thanks so much, guys. A great one.